Hi, welcome to Learn with me, Mrs. Sullivan. It's time for Polar Bears by Gail Gibbons. This book is packed with facts and information. You guessed it, it is a non-fiction book. The snow blows, the wind howls, the temperature is very cold, hovering around minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 34 degrees Celsius. Through the snowy scene, a great white bear appears, the polar bear. The polar bear lives in the Arctic, the area that surrounds the North Pole. Part of the Arctic is frozen, treeless land called tundra. Most of the Arctic is ocean. Ice covers the water most of the year. Here is a picture where we're looking straight down on a globe. Here's the North Pole, the Arctic Ocean. You can see the parts that are usually iced over with a little bit of white. And you can see that this is an imaginary circle here called the Arctic Circle. That is the land of the polar bears. Only a few animals, such as seals, Arctic foxes, walruses, and Arctic terns, can survive in such a cold and hostile climate. The polar bear is the biggest and most powerful of them all. Bears belong to the family called Ursidae. Of the 8 bears in this family, the polar bear is the largest. Most scientists believe polar bears have been living on Earth about 100,000 years. Scientists call the polar bear Ursus maritimus, meaning sea bear. This is the male and this is the female. An average male polar bear is so big that when it stands on its hind legs, it may be as tall as 10 feet. It usually weighs about 750 pounds to 1,100 pounds. A female polar bear is about 2/3 of that size. This diagram is a text feature to show us polar bear characteristics. Small ears so they won't freeze. Neck, back, tail, just a small one. Toes and legs. The paws of an adult male may be as wide as 12 inches, that's as long as a ruler, is how wide they are, and as long as 18 inches, that's even longer than a ruler. They have teeth, mouth, nose, and a snout. There are no eyelashes because they would collect ice. The eyes of the polar bear have a thin, clear, extra eyelid to protect them from bright sunlight. That diagram highlights some interesting characteristics of the polar bear. Polar bears are huge, but they are fast, graceful, and athletic. They can run 30 miles an hour for short distances. They can swim for at least 40 miles. Polar bears have partially webbed paws for swimming. The bottom of a polar bear's paw has rough pads and fur to keep it from slipping on ice. The fur also helps keep the paw warm. In between each of their little toes, there's webbing to help them swim. Polar bears have an amazing sense of smell. Some scientists believe they can smell a seal more than 3 miles away. They can see well in both the light and the dark, and can hear well too. Grrr. Polar bears have ways to communicate. When angry or upset, these solitary, that means lives alone, These solitary animals growl, hiss, show their teeth, and lower their heads and ears. A polar bear's top layer of fur is made up of hollow guard hairs that are colorless but look white. These guard hairs are waterproof and trap air to help keep the bear dry and warm. Below the guard hair and next to the skin is dense underfur. Under the fur is black skin that takes in heat from sunlight. The polar bear's fur keeps the heat next to the bear's body. Under the skin is a layer of fat called blubber. It is almost 3 inches thick and helps to insulate the polar bear's body from the cold. Here is a text feature showing a close-up diagram of the polar bear. Long, hollow, transparent or see-through guard hairs. They look white because they reflect the snow. The underfur, thick and cozy. The black skin that helps absorb the sunlight. You might know if you step on black asphalt on a very hot day with bare feet, it burns much more than the white sidewalk. So the dark color absorbs more light, that's our skin, and the yellow represents the blubber, which is fat, and finally the muscle, which of course the animal uses to move. Polar bears are carnivores. That means they eat meat. They are patient hunters. Their favorite food is the ringed seal. Often, a polar bear looks for a hole in the ice. The polar bear looks for a breathing hole in the ice where a seal can come up to get air. The bear waits, sometimes for hours. When a seal pops up, the bear swats it with its powerful paws, then pulls the seal from the water with its teeth. Sometimes a polar bear creeps slowly toward a seal. When the bear gets close, it pounces on the seal. Other times, the bear quietly floats in the frigid water. It looks like a chunk of sea ice, slowly drifting toward the seal. When the bear is close enough, it grabs the seal. During the winter, male polar bears and females that aren't going to have babies called cubs spend most of their time hunting. A polar bear is able to catch a seal about every 5 days. Most of the time, the bear only eats the seal's skin and blubber. It can eat as much as 150 pounds of blubber at one time. They also eat walruses, small whales, fish, and other sea life too. In this picture, we see the Arctic fox, the Arctic tern, and the ivory gull. They are all scavengers. Scavengers wait to clean up the rest of the kill. During the late spring and summer, the ice breaks up. Seals are hard to find. Polar bears hunt and eat musk oxen, caribous, and seabirds. When they can't be found, the bears eat berries, mushrooms, and seaweed. When late fall and winter return, they will hunt seals once again. During the spring, female and male polar bears come together to mate. After several days, they leave each other. During the summer, they continue to hunt for food. In the fall, the pregnant female bear digs a den. The female sleeps, rests, and waits. She lives off the fat she gained, about 400 pounds, from her spring and summer hunts. This is the den, and a female polar bear is pregnant for 6.5 to 9 months. In the winter, the cubs are born. The mother may have 1 to 4 cubs. At birth, their eyes are closed. They can't hear. They only have a thin coat of fur, and they weigh a little over 1 pound. The cub nests in their mother's fur. The cubs suckle their mother's rich milk. They snuggle deep in their mother's fur and sleep. Outside the den, the wind howls and the temperature is very cold. By the time the cubs are 3 weeks old, they can hear. About 1 week later, their eyes open. During the first month, the cubs grow to be 4 times larger than their birth size. Now the cubs are 2 months old. They can walk and romp around the den. The cubs play together and with their mother too. Their bodies are furry. When the cubs are about 3 months old, they leave the den but stay close to it for the first week. They want to get used to their new outside world. Now the cubs look like small, fluffy dogs. Soon, the mother takes the cubs out on the ice to learn about hunting. They watch her get food. She will protect them from any danger. The cubs stay with their mother for about 2 years until they're almost full grown. During that time, they learn how and where to hunt, how to protect themselves, and how to dig dens. Then they go off on their own. Eventually, the females will raise their own cubs. When it's too cold to hunt, any polar bear may dig a den for protection. Polar bears are big and powerful. People are their main enemy. For thousands of years, people living in the Arctic hunted polar bears for their meat and fur. Later, people came from faraway places to hunt polar bears for sport. Many bears were killed. The term Eskimo refers to many related northern groups of people. It means eaters of raw meat. Inuit is the term Eskimos in most of Canada use to identify themselves. It means the people. Inupiat is the term for Eskimo people of northern Alaska and is the term they prefer. It means real people. None of the groups really like the word Eskimo, so you should say Inuit or Inupiat. Around 1970, there was concern about the polar bear's ability to survive. There were only about 5,000 left. Laws were passed to stop nearly all the hunting. Because of their beliefs and heritage, some native peoples are still allowed a limited hunt. Today, scientists believe there are 20,000 to 40,000 polar bears in the wild. Other dangers still exist for polar bears. Drilling for oil and gas can cause pollution. Dangerous chemicals travel by wind to the Arctic from industrial areas. If global warming continues, many scientists and other people are concerned that there will be less Arctic ice and therefore less area for the bears to hunt. Global warming is the gradual increase in the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. Today, scientists keep track of the great white bears. People want to know more about them. Some are seen at zoos. Others live in protected areas. If enough people care, the polar bears will be around for a long time. Polar bear paw prints. Polar bears have the same body temperature as humans, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature of the Arctic can get as low as minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists have seen polar bears swimming more than 40 miles. They can swim 4 miles per hour. Native people of the north call the polar bear Nanook. Traditionally, they respect the strength and power of polar bears and believe they have souls. After killing a polar bear, they thank the bear's souls. Native people tell many stories and legends about polar bears and make beautiful carvings of them. All polar bears live in Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Norway, and Russia. Polar bears and penguins never meet because penguins live in the southern hemisphere and polar bears live in the northern hemisphere. To find food, some polar bears have to migrate, others don't. In the fall, many tourists travel to the town of Churchill in Manitoba, Canada to watch the polar bears wait for the ice to form on the Hudson. The world's largest national park is where polar bears are protected. It's in Greenland. Polar bears can live to be 30 years old. Thanks for watching.